We're live.
We're live.
Well, we're live, not in the podcast, but live in the behind the scenes video.
Okay.
Yeah. We have like layers to our video recording. Oh, I have to get in the right mindset. I recorded a video yesterday for Greenlight Bites, and I swear it took 15 takes just for me to like close the video because I couldn't. My brain.
Okay, I got kicked out. I don't know if you could see that.
Well, that was perfect timing.
Now
there's two of you though. Let me kick out your other person.
Okay, can you do that? Because it kicked me out and it said technical problem.
Okay, you are been ejected. We've ejected you.
Ah, perfect.
Notice I'm squinting because my thing.
Okay, it says Carla Bernberg has been removed from this video, but I still see me.
All right, we're in. I was telling a story about how I was trying to record a video for Greenlight Bites yesterday, and I had to take like 15 takes just to say goodbye because my mind wasn't really in it. You know, you ever have that? That's why I'm kind of happy we talk because we're here. Like,
yes.
Versus like me by myself and I'm thinking about 15 other things trying to record.
No.
Oh God.
Our whole family phrase is, "Ugh, I've hit the wall" because we're so tired. This morning I was so tired. I said to my daughter, "I've hit the window." She's like, "You've hit the window?" I was like, "I was thinking about I need to close the window before I leave." I was like, "I have not hit the window."
That reminds me of Evan says, because he's in his little cute 4-year-old voice, "I need to take a rest." That's what he said. I need to take a rest. Oh. That's what he said. Like, so I walked to school and we didn't take the carriage. And so I carried him half of the way. But after he goes, "I don't want to walk anymore. I need to take a rest."
It's like 4-year-olds and 90-year-olds. It's super cute when they say that. When you're 45, exactly. It's not as cute.
Anyone in the between, yeah, or even 9-year-old. I'm like, suck it up.
No. Oh my gosh. I know when Emma will say the same thing. I'm like, yeah, that is not a good sign of your conditioning because we just ran from the mailbox to the front door.
They are so inconsistent too, aren't they? Some days I feel like Ryan could go for hours. And other days he can't even like run a half mile with me. And I'm like, honey.
Emma will say, "My legs really ache." I'm like, dude, we just walked up the hill.
But then he'll take a CrossFit class and then he'll be like, "I'm sore." But in like, not like it's no big deal.
Gosh.
I'm like,
yes.
No.
Or basketball. She can go forever on the basketball court.
Find your basketball. Okay. We're going to get started on the official podcast.
I'm ready. Let's go.
These behind the scenes must be either annoying or absolutely hysterical.
I know. We need some feedback. There you go.
We do need feedback.
I know.
I feel like we just put them out there. Nobody watches because nobody's like subscribed. And we just.
Is it the Who, Tommy, where they sing, "Is anybody out there?" I'm so not hip.
You know what? In the weird way that I don't even care if anybody's out there. Because
it's a good warming up.
We need the primer. I feel like, those singers that go like blah, 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 blah.
Yes. Ma, me, me, ma, moo, me, me, ma, moo. Maybe that's what we do.
That's what this is for us. we got to like get into the zone. Okay.
I'm ready.
Right. I'm ready.
13. Lucky 13.
13. No talk about how it feels like it's the first.
We won't read that from the teleprompter. I'm going to say nothing and go.
I'm not ready. Okay. Welcome to the WickWigg podcast, episode 13.
I'm ready. I missed you last week. Things got crazy for us. But they got good crazy with all the pre-orders. I got sucked into that excitement. Did you?
I did too. And you know what? It kind of worked out. So for anyone who doesn't know, we did miss a week, but we tried our hardest to record last week, but I was on vacation. But then it coincided with Amazon shipping out pre-orders of our book unexpectedly.
I almost fell over the first time because, as we've talked about all the time, I obsessively skimmed the hashtag looking for my motivation. And the first time I saw, it was like 11 o'clock at night and I was laying in bed and I was like, somebody has the book. Another person has the book. I was shocked. It seemed so early.
It did. Well, and yes, it seemed really early. And on it, I guess you're never really prepared for when it comes out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we've been
I was more nervous than I thought I would be. I was like, oh my gosh, because everybody in our tribe, everyone who's listening to the podcast at this point feels like family members.
Yes.
So I felt like, oh my goodness, I hope you like it. And my own family member, my mom said, seriously, are you going to be like that with every single opportunity, whatever? Yes. And I was like, well, but more of these people, because I thought we thanked them. We thanked you in the dedication. Oh, so it's these people that are part of the whole process. And I was like, oh gosh, I hope you like it.
Yes, I have. Well, you're right. I reread our blog dedication, or I mean, our book dedication, and I almost cried because I was like, "Oh, I forgot we did
Yes.
that." I'm like, I'm so
Yeah.
glad because it's so true. And it's yes. And well, for me, I have this horrible history of. You would think this is not true considering I'm a blogger and literally I write every day and people read what I write. But I have such self-conscious issues when I hand somebody like a piece of paper I've written and they're reading it and I'm standing right next to them.
Oh my gosh, yeah, the standing right there.
I can't. Like my husband was reading the book and I'm like, oh my God. Oh, you probably hate it. Do you hate it? Oh, I'm like this like
Oh, you do?
insecure
Oh,
child.
interesting. I just want to thank them, like everyone, and I fear still that it comes across as inauthentic, but it's so real. Every time I see someone bought the book, I know how I work my ass off for every single dollar, and I'm so conscious of what I spend where. I'm like, thank you. I'm so touched that they spent their dollars on our book.
There is that. I never see. I think more of like, oh my God, I hope you like it.
Oh, that's so funny. I'm like, thank you for spending, because it's for me, it's your most valuable thing, your time. But and then the second most valuable thing, your money. I'm like, I come over and vacuum your house because I'm super grateful. What can I do for you?
I do, and I do. I've been trying to be really like anytime someone shares that they got the book, I'm just and it's so cool because you and I have completely different kind of blog readers. I mean, we have a core the same, and then we have
Yeah.
our own separate. And so I've loved seeing kind of people like your friends and your readers coming out of the woodwork, and I'm just like, oh, look at all these new people I get to like
I
learn about,
know.
like
That
reading
goes
their
to my
bios.
Wickwicker of the week that I was like, oh my gosh, I hope Roni sees this. So I'm going to have to connect you with my Wickwicker person of the week.
Oh, good.
But I've loved that too, because people I don't even know. And so I think they must know you. And then I
I know.
explore them.
That's exactly what I do too, which is really cool. So let me go back. So the reason why we missed last week was because I was on vacation in the fabulous New Orleans.
Okay, I have never been there, and I'm obsessed with Zydeco music. I'm not the foodie, so I want to hear about the food.
The foodie.
I'm the music. Oh, have you seen Chef? Did you watch that before you went?
I have seen. I forgot Chef. I
Yes.
did see that, and it was filmed in, or I mean, it was taking place in New Orleans. I
They
forgot
tried to
about
do
that.
what we do. They're a slim imitation of our social media, Twitter.
Yes.
Leaving in.
So New Orleans, it was the first time I was ever there as well, which is why we
Never
chose it
been.
as this year. So every year, one of and theoretically, this actually could probably be one of my first WickWigg vacation tips, or really more on the long lines of marriage tips. But the husband and I, about 3 years ago, decided we would always do something on our anniversary, something during our anniversary month, basically. Just him and I, no kids.
Who watched the kids? She
My
asked, out of
my
curiosity.
in-laws, I am the luckiest daughter-in-law in the world because my in-laws are retired and they don't mind coming to watch the kids in our own house so the kids can go to school and their routines.
Yeah, that's so great. Yeah.
And they don't live close. So on one hand, I'm unlucky because I have no family support on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I'm super lucky because my in-laws will come down for a week, 4 or 5 days for the husband and I to go on a trip, and they'll spend a week with the kids. And then I think the kids are lucky because they get some alone time with grandma and grandpa.
Yeah, which is so important.
Yeah, so I feel really blessed in that sense. So yeah, the in-laws came down and the husband and I went on our 14th wedding anniversary is this year, but this was our third annual trip since we started this tradition. And
okay, I know you're getting to this. I'm dying to know.
Yes.
Did you do the mode of transportation to get there because he doesn't like to fly?
We trained it.
And why was this? The whole time I'm thinking, oh, I'm dying to know, is this because Bill didn't want to fly, or did this?
It's a combination. So yes, he does not enjoy being in the air, but he will tolerate it for certain trips. But I have been pushing his limits in the air recently. And so we decided if there was another option, we would take it. So we were originally going to road trip, which we enjoy.
You do?
We do. Because
you don't mind the driving either.
We're chatterboxes. So we just talk to each other for 20 hours in the car. It really, we've been doing it since we've been kids. We just really are good matches in that sense that we could spend alone time together in a car and drive.
I would love that on the train because neither one has to navigate, so you can kind of face each other.
That's where I'm going with this. Because the train was so much cooler than a road trip for that reason alone. That. So we had a 26-hour train ride from Baltimore City to New Orleans, and I loved it way more than I thought I would. I actually wrote a whole post on my travel blog about the experience in case people are curious, like what it's like on the train, what it looks like. And I had a blast. And it was because
was it an auto train? Because we did the auto train as kids where we drove our car on, then sat in the cars. Could you have brought your car?
This one wasn't an auto trip. But I know my mom has done the auto train from somewhere northeast to Florida. She has done that trip with the car. But no, we had what was called a roomette, which is just basically a 4x6 little square with 2 little seats in it.
But all private.
And so we were able to just talk. We did crossword puzzles. He brought on his bottle of vodka. We had a couple drinks. It was just.
And there were little bunks?
Yeah. So there's a top bunk that you can lower, and then you have basically 2 single beds. We both didn't sleep very well on the train, but we were able to lay down, relax. It was 100 times better than sitting upright for 26 hours.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. And the train ride was where I started wickwicking my vacation. So I have a very lax vacation policy. I do whatever I want and I eat whatever I want, but I balance it in some way. So
do you differ if it's for work? Because I tend to think work travel for me, I stay more. Actually, nothing ever changes.
Depends on where I'm going.
More healthy. Okay.
It depends on where I'm going, because if it's someplace I've never been and they're known for some crazy food, you could bet your butt I'm going to try it. So.
But do you make sure to work out if it's for work? Because that helps me stay work productive. Whereas on a vacation, I'm like, all bets are off.
Yeah. So I actually put together like 5 things that I kind of wickwick through a vacation that I was going to mention that I think will get, and you'll see, like I incorporate so much more movement when I'm actually on vacation. I think just naturally, because
it's almost easier than work.
Yeah, you walk everywhere. And I'll start with the train. So there was 2 things I did on the train. One is, so we had all of our meals on the train. There was a dining car, which is really cool. And their meals were pretty good. I mean, they weren't, 5-star restaurant good, but they also weren't just like slop that you would get in the army.
Here's where I confess that I did scour your pictures, and I did see the picture, and I was like, oh, because you put a picture and then what you wickwicked in your meal, and I saw it and thought it looks like a hotel.
Yeah, offering. It's like very standard, and the waitress staff was really nice. And so, like, for example, for breakfast, which is one of my favorite meals anymore, which cracks me up because when I was a kid, I hated breakfast because I hated eggs, but now I love eggs.
Oh my gosh, me too.
So it's really weird. So I got egg scrambled hard, which is my favorite because I like overdone scrambled eggs like a dork. And
okay, I never even knew that was a thing.
Oh yeah, that's a thing. If you go to a diner.
Get it like that? Because I never knew you said scrambled hard.
I don't like slimy eggs.
Me either. At home, I will overcook them.
Well, I think it's a Jersey diner thing. If you go to a diner and you say, "Can I have scrambled eggs hard?" They won't look at you twice. That's like how you order.
Okay, I'm gonna try that.
Try that. So their eggs came with like the typical potatoes and bacon and a biscuit instead of, you had your choice between a croissant and a whole wheat biscuit. And I was psyched that the biscuits were whole wheat. Actually, that was pretty cool. And the biscuit, usually I ditch the bread for breakfast because I'm eating the potatoes and I'm like, I love potatoes. So I'm potato girl.
Yes, yeah.
So, but then I was very intrigued by this whole wheat biscuit. And I'm like, I really want to try. And it was phenomenal. It was like one of the best biscuits. It was so good.
With the spray tan.
It was totally worth eating it. You know how sometimes things are worth eating it and I'm like, no, I'm never going to get a Amtrak train whole wheat biscuit. When will I ever get one again? And so I sliced it and I put a little pat of butter and a little bit of honey and it was amazing. And so I decided skip the potatoes. So I just swapped the potatoes for the biscuit. And I do things like that through like all the foods. Like I tried every New Orleans, I did the jambalaya, I did the gumbo, I did the turtle soup, I did the alligator sausage, all these things you're supposed to eat in New Orleans. But I didn't snack in between meals, and I tried to kind of skip the bread when it came with dinner. And
that's the kind of food I would love. The bread you can get anywhere. Although are they known?
They're known for beignets, yes, which I did get
that from the movie Chef
one morning, and I was very excited because I also a sharer, which would be another wickwick tip. So the husband, I think the place we went to, which is a famous New Orleans place called Café du Monde.
Oh, that was in the movie.
That was
apparently yes. Life.
They had orders of beignets.
Okay, define what a beignet is.
So it's like New Orleans donut. You could think of it like a Southern donut. So it's basically just fried dough and then dipped in powdered sugar. It's delicious.
Like a funnel cake?
Yeah, but like bigger and gooier inside. So a funnel cake is so narrow. You know what I mean? Because it's like drizzled in the grease. This is like a big thing. You know, what I mean?
This may need to be our accompanying photo.
Yes. So, but I mean, if you live in New York, New Jersey, it's like a zeppoli, which is what they call on the Jersey Shore. It's the same thing. It's basically fried dough with powdered sugar on it. Which really, I mean, in any fried dough with sugar on it, I don't think I need to say anything else. So anyway, they had orders, and one order was 3. So I looked at the husband. I go, I don't want to eat 3. Will you please share with me? He goes, oh yeah, I only want 2. And I'm like, perfect.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
So we shared an order, and we shared a lot of things. Like somebody made a recommendation to go to a bar called Yo Mama's, which is in the French Quarter, which they said it's a hole in the wall, but it's great. And it was exactly the way how the person described it. And they had a famous peanut butter bacon burger.
Oh, so it was like bar where you eat.
Yes.
See, that is something I love, the peanut butter, the bacon, and the burger. I'm not the bread person. It's all mixed together.
And you know what's funny? And this is another thing I do as a WickWigg tip is I usually pull away half my bun when I'm eating. Right. And you need something to grip. But other than that, I'm always ripping off part of my bun. But I was like, I can't imagine peanut butter on a burger with bacon. And so I had to, again, it was one of those I had to order it, but we split it. I was like,
love it?
I loved it. I really did. I don't think I would make them at home, but it was one of those things where I got to experience it, and it was yummy. And now I'm moving on. I don't think I'll ever.
See, that's something I would try to make at home. I had it out, but unlike pineapple on your pizza, that's something I would make at home.
It was really good. I probably should stop. My friends yelled at me because I posted too many food photos, and then they said that I was making them eat all the time because I tend to get really excited about food. So I do a lot of, so in the food department, I do a lot of bargaining with myself. I savor anything that's kind of regional that I feel like would help me experience the city that I'm visiting. But I tear off buns. I skip the bread. I enjoy.
But you don't worry. Like I start to think,
don't worry about it.
You don't think, okay, it's lunch and I'm having this. Do I want to have this? What if there's something else I want later? Because that's something I heard a lot from clients is it was that fear of, I don't have this at lunch, and then later never comes, and they have dinner, and they're like, ugh, and then they end up binging because they didn't have.
Yeah, you know what? I find that the last few years, the husband and I have gotten to a personal groove, and this is where that whole concept that we talk about in the book of making things on your own terms comes into play. For him and I, we have found our groove on vacation. He sleeps late. I generally, and this is where
our groove.
I'll bridge into how I work out, which I'll get into in a minute. But because of that, we generally don't eat breakfast because we don't usually.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I thought you were going to say.
We don't hit the ground running until like noon because I'll go out for a run or something. He's sleeping. I'll come back. We'll shower, and then it's pretty much lunchtime. So then we usually do a lunch or a late brunch kind of thing, and then so our first meal isn't usually it's usually between 11 and 1. So then dinner is like between 5 and 7, and then it's like we do a late night because again we're out and we don't have kids, so we don't have to worry about child, so we're out and exploring the city. We'll eat again at like 10 p.m., which sounds horrible, but really not that bad if you didn't eat breakfast and your day was out.
Exactly. I'm such a believer when people say, okay, I need to stop by 7. It's like, no, if it's all on the scope of your day, even at home, if you're eating dinner at 10, but that's in the scope of your daily life.
Right. Plus we're staying up later.
Yes.
So, I mean, and there's time changes, and, so your body's all out of whack anyway. I mean, why stress over the fact that you need to eat 3 meals a day on big, what I mean? So we were there for 4 full days, and we found that was exactly the groove we almost had every day. We would have kind of a big lunch, a lighter dinner, and then a bigger, like, late night dinner, or vice versa. Like one of those meals was always lighter, and then the 2 were more kind of sit down.
So he doesn't work out, because that seems like you guys have the same groove we do, and that my husband would sleep. I would go out and probably take a walk, or maybe at the hotel go to the gym and come back, and he's just waking up. And it's perfect because I don't feel like he's up there. I'm ready to go. Let's go. Let's hit the ground. Let's go. At all.
Putting the word workout and my husband in the same sentence doesn't work. He does not work out. He has zero desire. He doesn't run. He doesn't go to the gym. He doesn't lift weights. He plays tennis. That's always like, I always go, buddy, please. You know,
he doesn't miss it. He doesn't want to play while he's gone.
No, he's not a, I need to do this activity every day kind of person. He's more of a, hey, the guys want to go for a game of basketball. Let's do it, or go. So he's more of an active sense in that. So we have completely different workout personalities. And for me, the way that I wick kind of the workout aspect is I always plan at least one run in the city that I'm visiting. I usually get more than that in, but it's like a minimum. I have to run it. And I try to do it actually the first day I'm there, because what I found is I do one run in a city and I feel like I've been orientated to that city. So it's
do you find a companion? Do you search social media to have someone to meet up with, or do you just map it out on your own?
I map it out on my own. Sometimes I will meet up with people if they ask, but I usually don't seek them out, because this sounds really snobby, but I kind of like to be by myself sometimes.
I'm always afraid of getting lost. Like in new cities, whether I'm taking a long walk, I don't run. But I'm afraid I will never find the hotel again. It is my I'm
like a homing pigeon. I really am.
I get lost in my own neighborhood.
I'm really good at it. Plus I have like the GPS, and I usually talk to the hotel and I get them to guide me. Because, when it is kind of easy maybe to go in an area that you maybe shouldn't be in or something. So I generally run my route by the hotel staff, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to run. Yeah. And so I at least do one run. And like, for this New Orleans trip, I did it the first day, and I ran to a CrossFit gym, which is what I do. The cool thing about the CrossFit community that I find invaluable is that it's like I have a network of gyms at my disposal, because if there's any CrossFit gym, most of them allow what's called drop-ins. So for a nominal fee, anywhere from $5 to $10, sometimes $20, sometimes for free. A lot of them don't even charge. I can kind of hop in on a class, and then I get to meet locals, and then I get to talk. And then, so I get a workout in, I get orientated to the city, and I get to meet some locals. And it's like, I've been doing that now for 2 years, and it's almost like I feel like a vacation isn't a vacation unless I do at least one drop in at CrossFit.
And when I travel, money no object when it comes to a gym. If you invited me to go do like a bar class with you in Austin, it was going to be $25. I would say, oh my gosh, never. But if I'm traveling and the gym fee or whatever it is $25, I'm like, oh, it's so worth it. Meet people.
Yep.
It is
there's
money
definitely
no object
there. Yes, money no object. And I also, it's so easy if you're not even a structured workout kind of person when you're on a vacation. We walk everywhere.
I was wondering about. So Bill doesn't mind walking. He's not a cabin.
No, he will. No, he kind of suffers through for me. He does not. He does a really good job with the walk. And actually, taking the train station was a half a mile from our hotel. And I made him walk with our luggage. Oh my!
See, I don't think Chris would do that with me.
Oh, he was not.
He
was not happy.
It was a nice wet. I always think of New Orleans as super hot and muggy, but it's only April.
We also arrived in the evening, so it was like 7:30. So it was like already cooling down for the day. But yeah, about halfway there, so about a quarter mile in, he was like, yeah, this isn't fun.
Was it fun? Honestly,
I was. Well, for me, I'm all about the WickWigg. So I figured this is our first look at the city. Like, I was totally cool with walking, and I only had a backpack and a little shoulder bag because I am a light packer. But he had the rollaway.
Hilarious! He's got like 8 Samsonites.
Yes, exactly. So I'm like, no wonder why you like it. You need to like roll this suitcase through the city.
And I'm just like, train, though, because I can imagine you're walking some on the train, but not much.
No, that was another reason why I was so adamant about walking from the train station. I'm like, we've been basically immobile for 26 hours, and my body's just like, blah. Like, actually, you just walk to the dining car. I should have tracked my steps. Like, I probably didn't walk more than 600 steps for that 24 hours.
Yeah, because there's a limit, and it's better than driving just as far as getting cramped, but yes.
So so I made him walk. And the other thing I do, and this is an old rule that I used to have on my, it's still there, but on my blog that I talked about, is I have a 5-story rule, which means if I am in a hotel or in any building that requires an elevator and I'm 5 stories or less, I require myself, and I use this terminology, so I've convinced myself to take the stairs. Well,
I get scared in the hotel because I was at a conference. Was it Fit Blogging? I don't think it was. And I got locked out. I didn't have my cell. I get so fear-based with that one in the hotel.
Again, this is another thing you need to check with hotel staff, because some hotels, are not stair friendly. They just aren't. So I always ask, like, where's the stairs and are they accessible?
Always keep your cell phone with you so you can call for
and
help.
always keep your cell phone, because some of them are kind of, they're not, a lot of the hotels don't, but more and more I'm finding that, like in this hotel we were particularly in, the stairs were very accessible, and they were actually before the elevator, and we were on the 6th floor.
Interesting.
So
did you do 5 and 1?
Yeah, well, I didn't. I just did the 6 stories, but
it's a lot going up.
It was more than I anticipated, but
going down is not as bad.
I only took the elevator once, which was the first day to take our luggage up. After that, I was stairs the whole vacation, and almost to a fault. Like the one day I ran to CrossFit, ran back, and then took the stairs. And by the end, I was like, oh my God.
And does he, like when we go on trips?
Oh, he doesn't take the
family. Stairs. Yes, Chris will take the elevator. And I'm always shocked. I'll say to Emma, I'm taking the stairs. And she's like, oh yeah, I am too. Which is crazy to me. Every time I wait for her to say no, like I am going with Dad. But no, but he still takes the elevator, which cracks me up.
So okay, this to give you slight insight into our relationship. So yes, he took the elevator every time, and I took the stairs every time, and we tried to race every time.
I know. Emma and I will kill ourselves running up the stairs, so we can stand there at the elevator.
Exactly, but I could not beat him. It was hysterical. First of all, this elevator at this particular hotel was always there on the first floor. So he never had to wait. And so the first time we did it, I actually thought I did beat him, because historically elevators are so slow. And so I took the stairs at a very like modest clip, just a steady pace. And I'm out of breath by the end. And I'm like waiting for him to like come out of the hallway, and I don't see him. And then I walk down. We had like, of course, the room all the way at the end of the hall. So I go all the way down the hall.
Oh, so you're not meeting at the elevator. I tried to meet the elevator.
I thought we were. This was the first time we did it. So then I get into the hotel room, and he's laying on the bed like la 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 la, and I'm like, no way, you beat me that. So then in my mind, I made it a game, which is what I do. And so every time we would come back to the hotel, I would try to race him. And the one time I tried to sprint up 6 flights of stairs. And I made it 4 stories, and I was like, oh my God. And then I just tried to keep a steady pace, and I tried so many strategies to beat him, and I could. The closest I got, he was with the key in the door, and I'm like, oh, I couldn't.
I always play it off like I am dying, and I just stand there by the elevator door like I am not ready to fall over. And when it opens, I'm like, yeah, I've been here. It's like totally easy. So I'm dying.
But I think all like. Okay, I'll get cheesy with all the WickWigg tips, but making it a game, having fun with it, keeping active, and then it allows me to have that like no guilt mentality when it comes to enjoying the city I'm in with the food and the treats, And
I need to pat Bill on the back though. I love that he doesn't resent it is the first words that come to mind, and that would have nothing to do with you and everything to do with him. If he got annoyed with you for doing that rather than finding it a game, it would have nothing to do with you. But I love how he's cheering you on just by virtue of the fact he thinks it's funny, it's a game, and I love its support of you. Yes, because it's not important to him and it is to you.
It's funny too, because I live kind of on a line where I'm constantly trying to influence him to do more, but also kind of drawing a line in the sand where I'm like, look, I'm going to take the stairs. If you don't want to, that's cool. Like, I'm like, why would I pressure him? And I'm hoping by example, like sooner or later he will take the stairs. But I also have no, I don't know. I don't get upset about it. I don't whine about it.
It doesn't sound like he rolls his eyes.
He does roll his eyes, but he does it more. But it's playful. Yeah, like, oh, you're going to take the stairs again. Yeah.
And I think it gets different. I know it does for me. I've had a bunch of guest posts that I love from people talking about the fight of the exercise. Women in their 20s, boyfriend hates when they get up early and go to work out. But it's really changed for me the older I get, because whether Chris participated or not, he understands that it is not about the bikini, the vanity. It's about, holy crap, I'm 45. I want to be this active at 60. That the motivation he gets now, even if he doesn't participate, he totally gets that I'm doing this for her to an extent.
Yeah, I think we have been, again, being married 14 years, we are getting better at and have maybe almost mastered this is me, it's not you, and that's okay kind of, I don't know, marriage compromises all the time. Of course, there's certain things where you get frustrated, personality types or things, but overall, it is very much, I think when you approach, if you're in a relationship with somebody who doesn't share your passion for things, you just have to be really communicative and go, this is really important to me. And I understand it's not important to you. And that's okay. I'm not bothered by it if you're not bothered. You know what I mean? Like, and you just kind of move on from there. Yeah. I mean, cause you're always going to, especially when you spend so much time with someone. I mean, we've been together 20 years. It's crazy.
I know. I think that same thing when we have struggles in the marriage. And I have a friend who's been married for 2. And she's like, well, I can't really relate because things, are just really easy over here. I'm like, yes, friend, we've been together for 24 years.
Yes. Well, and I think, and we've changed. I think people are in denial when they think you don't change. Like we've both changed. Like I know I've changed. I mean, my change is like plastered all over the internet.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I try to keep that in mind. I think, in the weird way, I'm not the woman he married. Like
that's why I think I love how he's kind of gone with the flow.
Yeah, I'm not. But I think on the flip side, I think the reason why it's easy to go with the flow is because he could see how much happier I am. Yes. I think it would be different if I changed in a negative way where, I was depressed or sulking all the time or whining. But no, my changes were all positive in the sense that they've made me happy. And then my confidence is boosted. And I do
it's something he can live with. It's not some crazy. Yes. But I do admire his flexibility. And I think it speaks volumes about his confidence in who he is, that he's not resentful. He's like, all right, this is you.
Yeah. How did we get on a marriage talk?
I don't know, but this is my last marriage thought, which was so profound to me, and I've got to share it. It's not quick, but I'm going to plant this seed. It's so interesting to me that somebody said to me once before I got married about her own life. It's interesting, Carla. The thing you loved the most about someone when you married them is typically what you end up hating the most later. So I'm planting that seed for people to talk about. Go write a blog post. Go talk amongst yourselves.
You know what? It's funny. I think, I can see that. I think it's the things that I think it's the things you value though as a child. I'm going to call my 20s when I was a child. I think just are different than what you value when you're in your 40s.
That's why friendships change. If you're not married, it's that friendships evolve.
Yeah.
And what you looked for in a friend, like my friends in my 20s were people who would stay out all night with me and sneak into bars.
Right. I also think people get into relationships, and I've seen this happen a lot. I'm at that stage where I either have friends that are divorcing or you could tell they're going to be in it for the long haul. Like I think once you're in your late 30s, early 40s, it's when, like, how when you're in your 20s, everyone's getting married and then everyone's getting kids. And then there's a stage where everyone's getting divorced.
Yes. My sister always jokes that she did it early. So among her peers, everyone was like, you crazy. But now
everybody's doing it.
For years, everybody's doing it.
Yeah. But I think when you're young, you don't, and I hope I can advise my kids in this sense, like the things that you are attracted to in the person, you almost have to look past and think, how are they going to be partners? Not only not what's the word I'm looking for, like partners in the sense of like raising kids and keeping a household, and like are they going to contribute and how are they going to contribute versus like I just like spending time with them and they're easy to talk to and he's so hot. That's all great stuff, but then
in sickness and in health is almost the easy part. Like I nurse you in sickness, I just bring you soup. It's like that is almost the easy part.
But when you're refinancing your house and you're planning a conference and you have a full-time job and you have 2 kids and you're like, who's going to call the organ guy? I don't know. La, la, la. Like you're like,
and it's having someone to laugh about how overwhelmed you are. For me, it's all about the laughter though. Like marriage, whatever my marriage is going through, I married the first person who ever made me laugh. I hadn't realized until he made me laugh that in every other relationship, I'd been the funny one and they had laughed.
That's fascinating.
So I married him because he made me laugh.
You know what? My husband and I, he made one of the first things that we ever interacted when we were 18 was he told me a joke. So yes, it's same beginnings. Yeah, it was all making me laugh.
But that versus being cute is okay. Go back to your tips.
I'm looking down at my tips and I think I covered them all. Like, so I have like walk everywhere, food swaps, taking the stairs, like seeking out the stairs anywhere you go. Right. Getting a run in, at least one run or a walk if you're not a runner, just to get the lay of the land. And like, I think first day is huge. Carry your luggage if you're not, if you don't have bad back. I really think like I have a rollaway. Oh, that's what they're called, right? Rollaways. Are they called whatever, rollers, those rolling luggages, which I think are great. And I have one that I take on planes because airports are horrid to carry luggage in. But anytime I can, honestly, I try to get away with a backpack and a shoulder bag, because now I'm carrying it keeps
resistance training.
It keeps me packing light, and I'm carrying all that weight, and I feel like, yeah, it's like another small WickWigg. You don't think of those little WickWigg things you could do, but you're burning a lot more calories carrying your luggage than you are like pushing your luggage, or I don't.
Yes, and I think the walk thing and the cab. I'm always maxed out on vacation. No matter what I think, okay, we're going to, not really, but Disney is going to cost $3,000, but it really doesn't. It ends up at more. And every time I walk and don't take a cab, I think I don't even need to save this $20 that I would have spent. I can spend it on something else while I'm here. It's like, for me, it's the exchange of I'd rather walk and keep the cash. If that's the motivation, it doesn't even need to be health, but whatever gets you to Wickwick.
Yes. And you're to find your own motivation. Yeah, I think, but I was to say, just don't underestimate the value of a good walk your vacation, especially when it gets you someplace you want to go. Like, I feel like
slowing down. So many of us can't walk places at home because we're in a hurry.
I feel like
working in a hurry.
Just us as a culture. I mean, especially maybe not so much in the big cities, but we've lost that culture of like, I need to get somewhere and walking out your front door and getting there. Like, it's like, you have legs, like you can walk places.
And it goes back to the journey. It's we want to get there so quickly because we're always in a hurry.
Hurry.
Yeah. If that's the gift of vacation to me, is less although I love travel, but more I have time to breathe and enjoy the process of wherever I am, staycation, vacation.
I will take it full circle, because I think that is the thing I valued the most about the train ride, was that I had 26 hours on this train to just be. And
I loved your picture when you said, this will be my view for the next 26 hours. And it was super, you could have gone either way. It was very like, and I'm so grateful. This is just it. And that's a gift.
Right. That's exactly just to be. And I think because we don't let ourselves do that enough, I think we're always, especially if you're married and have kids and you have a job, and it's like we're constantly at someone else's beck and call. So then it was like, no, I know, maybe I'll glance at my email. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll do a crossword puzzle.
Yes.
Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll read this book. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll have an hour conversation with my husband, which I will say, my kids are 4 and 9. I know I'm going to go through a stage soon where they won't want anything to do with me, but it is invaluable to be able to have a conversation with your spouse without being interrupted by a child.
Yeah. Or even it's like my daughter said the other morning, what are you guys arguing about? Because we were having a conversation with
because she never hears you guys talk.
Yes. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. This is a conversation about grown-up stuff. It had nothing to do with the family. I can't remember what it was, but it's like that no interruption. And to her, that was like, oh my gosh, it doesn't involve me. It must be about me.
Okay, so we're going to transition because you have an awesome quote to share. And I don't know anything about this, so I'm excited.
Okay, I saw this and it just captured for me. I love Brene Brown. And this is, I don't even know what you would call her. I'm going to call her actually, I don't even know what we would call her. It's like a personal development activist, inspirational speaker.
Okay, so like a life coach,
yes.
Okay.
And she was actually at Blissum one year, and I missed her speaking. I was with a friend in crisis, and I had that moment of, Brene's on, and I'm not leaving you. So I missed seeing her speak, and so ever since then, I've devoured everything she's written. And I saw this quote shared by a friend, and she said, Brene, not the friend, healthy striving is self-focused. How can I improve? Which I thought, yes, that is what we talk about all the time. No comparison. How can I get better? I'm not looking back at yesterday. Perfectionism is other focused. What will they think? And I thought in that moment, perhaps that's why I don't have a lot of perfectionistic tendencies now at 45 and a half, because I really don't care what they think. If it's my best, I know that, and it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks.
Right. Wait, say the first half of the quote again. What's the term she uses? Healthy striving. Okay.
Is self-focused. How can I improve? Perfectionism is other focused. What will they think? And it just struck me. I thought, yes, because why else would you want to be perfect? Whatever I'm doing is perfect enough for me because it's the best that I can do in this place. But if I'm trying to be uber highly put together, perfect, it really is about the other. And I had never framed it that way.
Yeah, my gears are going. Oh, because I'm thinking about it from the perspective of even body image. If you really think about it, because it's funny because I was going to write a blog post about this, but maybe we could talk about it instead. Someone asked me, I posted this morning a photo of myself at the gym. And I was like, my logical brain says this is crazy that I come here and do this every day at 6, but my heart loves it. I love seeing my progress. I love seeing the things I'm doing with
yes.
lifting, right? And so it's kind of mirroring what the quote says. And it really got me thinking, well, someone made a comment and they were asking about what I was eating recently. And they made a statement that I seem so happy lately. So they were curious about what other,
yes.
and I thought, gosh, I have a whole blog post brewing about that, because I think one of the reasons why I'm happy is because I stopped worrying about what my body will look like if I only eat this and don't eat that and lift this way and lift this amount. And I stopped doing that.
Yes.
And that really is a perfectionist, like, oh, I want to have the perfect body. I want to look like that girl in a bikini. That's like outward, like the quote says. But now
yes.
I am focusing very much on I love being more fit than I was yesterday. I love lifting more weight I did yesterday. I love feeling strong. I love
and there's no perfect
accomplishing
that. It's that feeling strong.
Yes.
There is no perfect. And I love, God bless my mom. And I can say that I hope that she's not listening to this podcast, but it's something I've never told her before, that I remember saying to her, can I bring now husband, then boyfriend, to this big honorary event they were holding for my dad? And she said, at this point, he was like a long hair that looked like a hippie who went on to get his PhD, JD. No, I'd rather you didn't. What would other people think?
Huh.
There'd be a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And my first instinct then, even a lot younger, was, I don't care. I know who he is. And it is that perfect image of a family. Whatever the perfection is, it's about somebody else seeing you. That's what it is for me as I start to get too overexcited. The perfection for me is never about when I'm sitting alone with myself and being still. Anything that I have that moment of, I want this to be perfect, it's because someone else is seeing it or viewing it or evaluating it. It's never about my own healthy striving.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. I never really thought about it, but it is really true. I mean, really, why do so many women pursue quote unquote the perfect body or the perfect marriage or raising the perfect kid? Why do we pursue all that? Well, it's because we want other people to validate us in some way. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, again, I always, with the perfect body aspect, like, why do you really want to look like a Victoria's Secret model? Why? How much more value will that add to your life? And that's, I think, what I have been really, it's funny because it's taken me 10 years.
But it's not healthy striving. It's the value.
Yeah, it's
right.
Really, it's like, and then I actually, I think it was last year, I was struggling with body image on the blog, and I kind of poured my heart and soul in some post about it. And someone asked me that question. They were like, why is this so important to you? You are, you have these great kids and you have a great husband and you're doing all these things you love that you used to not do because you were fearful, and now you're doing them. So why is this one aspect so important to you? And that comment still sits with me today. And I think all the time, I'm like, she's right. Why is that a big deal? Who cares what I look like?
There may be a healthy striving in there. It may be whatever. If you think, okay, I've always wanted to, I love the show. I want to say it's Bravo, maybe TLC.
Of course it's Bravo.
My Big Fat Fabulous Life. Love her.
Oh, yes.
And what is I want to say, I'm going to get it wrong. I want to say endometriosis, but that's not what it is. But she really wanted to wear a bikini on the beach. It was super important to her because she thought, this will be for me the pinnacle of healthy striving. I feel good about myself.
That was one of the first goals I ever wrote 10 years ago on my blog. For me, it was, I want to wear a bathing suit on the beach without a t-shirt and be confident. But the funny thing is, you can do that without having the quote unquote perfect model or the perfect body. And that's what I've learned. Now I do sit on the beach and I am far from quote unquote perfect model, perfect Hollywood, whatever, but I'm confident. And that was the goal. Yeah, it's funny because it's a lot of semantics sometimes. I think people they get on like weird pages about it.
It can never be for me about the other because I'm always guessing what they want. Because if I'm trying to be perfect enough for myself, the Brene Brown healthy striving, I know because it's for me. But you're never going to be perfect enough for somebody else because you're trying to guess what they want.
It's true. And everybody wants something different. There is no
Yes.
perfect. There is no perfect. I think the problem comes in the fact when we have an image of what perfect is and it's not in alignment with who we are. I think that's usually it's almost so much so like, so we have this image of perfect and this is what we think we should look like. And this is what we think other people think we should look like. And that's where that striving of perfect comes from, you know, that for body image anyway, in that sense.
And it's that quote, which quite frankly, I've never really understood. I like to think Karen KCL Anderson would be able to write a fantastic blog post on this, is what other people think of you is none of your business.
Yeah, it's my favorite. It's one of my, I remind that stuff of myself.
It's like and that's what this is for me, in the sense of I cannot control what other people think. I could look in the mirror and think when I first started lifting, I loved Linda Hamilton circa T2.
Oh my God, I was obsessed with Linda.
Hanging in my office from the movie in the white rib tank top.
Yes.
And I could achieve that and be like, I am perfection. This feels awesome. And somebody else is like, yeah, her muscles are so small. So it's like, I can't control what other people think about me. So there will never be perfect ever.
That's true.
You just have to live the life that pleases you.
You know what's funny about that whole, you can't control, or no, not you can't control.
Tell me that quote. What do you think what does it mean to you? Because I always struggle with that one.
Wait, and it goes what other people think of you.
People think of you is none of your business.
The way that I think about that, which helps me a lot, and I think I've had this conversation with Ryan before, because I think it helps build confidence. I try to think of all the thoughts I have about other people and how they are completely insignificant to that other person. So think about every conversation you have, like, you know, you're watching TV with your spouse or whatever, and you're like, well, that dress, I don't like, that's ugly. Oh, blah, blah. Like, you know, oh, what did she do to her hair? You know, I mean, we shouldn't be doing those things, but the truth is we do those things because we're human. And that's, you know, we notice differences in people, weight loss, hairstyle changes, whatever. Yes. And we comment on it, you know. And I think sometimes, so I always remind myself, I'm like, I have a heck of a lot of opinions about other people and they mean nothing to that other person. And they shouldn't. And so then I try to mirror it back to myself and think, yeah, so if someone thinks my blog is stupid or my writing sucks, or I'm like, okay, yeah, I also think that person's hair is horrible and that dress she should not be wearing. And
it makes sense to me. And what other people think of you is none of your interest. Should not be of your interest. I don't know why I've always struggled with that quote.
Yeah, you shouldn't even really care. And I think just really thinking about, I don't know, I find that I am very, I don't know, like, what's the word? Empathetic, or I try to see myself through other people, and I try to absorb how other people, I don't know, I just really try to be in touch with other people. And then I think to myself, well, you know, like, let's say, for example, one of your favorite singers comes out with a new song and you're like, oh, I don't really like that song. Does that really matter? No, that person, they wrote that song, they published, you know, they created it, they recorded it, they released it. It maybe does well or doesn't do well. My opinion on that song, whether or not it sucks or doesn't suck, really is indifferent. So someone else's opinion about what it is that you're doing in your life, you know, whether it's your work, like for us, it's our writing or our book. If someone else doesn't like it, it's insignificant, really. We already
did it.
You're
so good with that when I email you stuff like, what do you think? This person said this. You're like,
I'm like, meh.
Okay. Yes, and I love the song thing because I would like to reveal my current addiction to the television show known as Nashville, which has a lot of pop country.
I live vicariously through the husband with Nashville.
Cannot believe I've joined on the Nashville bandwagon, but it perfectly ties in before we get to our Wickwickers of the week with the Brene Brown quote, because with songwriting, and I have a bunch of musician friends, you have to be authentic. You can't worry about perfection, because if you're trying to live that life where you're creating for others, you result in an inauthentic you, and it becomes so clear. When people are trying to be so perfect, they may think it's not showing, but it's always showing. We all know, because you see the people out there really trying never to show a chink in the armor.
Right. I would say the same is for bloggers. For writers.
Yeah.
I mean, you could tell when you read someone's blog and you're
I feel like you're trying to steer it away from Nashville.
You're trying so hard. I am trying to steer it away. Well, I watched like the first few seasons of Nashville.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't get into it, and then I did. I think it's because I love pop country. I did not know this. The Dixie Chicks, twangy Sheryl Crow.
I don't do country. I
didn't think I did either.
I like the cast. I like the cast.
Yes.
But the storyline to me, like the husband loves it.
It's like Dallas, I imagine.
Exactly. He's like, it's like a soap opera.
It is. I cannot believe I like it.
So much happens in one episode. I'm like, really? She got married and then divorced and then pregnant by another guy in one episode? I'm like,
no. But it's like, I think what I love is a creative process. Now that I think of it with the perfectionistic backdrop, is watching them take poems and turn them into song, because the poems are so highly personal and authentic. I think that's what it is, and why I don't strive for perfection, because for me, I couldn't do it. It'd be really awkward and inauthentic, and it would be so obvious. So I love the healthy striving.
See, my opinion on Nashville does not affect the Nashville developers or writers in any way, shape, or form.
You wrapping it up. Oh, and now see, we dovetailed perfectly into our people of the week, because I think yours might have something to do with writing.
Yes. Do you want me to do mine first? Okay. So I picked this Wickwicker of the week a few days ago, actually, not knowing that she's going to write an awesome blog post this morning about how she Wickwicked her book. So I think you know her. Her name is Courtney Hunt. Do you know Courtney Hunt?
I do. And now I'm trying to tease backwards and see where we connected. I must have been writing something.
Well, she is a writer. So she's a writer. And so this morning, actually, she tweeted how I use WickWigg concept to write my novel. And in the post, she talks about how she basically figured out WickWigg on her own, and it was how it helped her go from unprofessional writer to professional writer. And I was like, yay, that's awesome.
Yes.
But that wasn't even why I picked her as WickWigg. So why I picked her for the WickWigg week is because for the last week, her tweets have been very, I don't know how to say this. It's funny, like very WickWigg.
You
like every day,
like she gets it, like that.
Yeah, she gets it, and it's every day, kind of like how I Wickwick my vacation. It's just things that she's doing now. So here's a few examples of her tweets. So this was a couple days ago. Made a big salad and ate just one piece of pizza on family pizza night. That's huge. As someone who used to eat an entire pie by herself, I bow down to someone who can eat one piece of pizza.
And it so clearly illustrates the baby steps, huge change. Those things add up so quickly.
So a few more. She has squeezing in my walk before it rains. Perfect. Wickwick equals far away parking at Panera before a 3-hour round of editing my, I need my glasses because I'm not wearing my glasses. Editing her book, I guess. And then buying healthy food for the week and listening to the WickWigg podcast.
I know.
Win.
Okay, I need to know. We've got to give you a shout out here in our podcast notes. I'm dying to know, when I saw that, did she wear headphones? Was she really listening to us in the grocery store? How did that look? So I'm curious about that. So maybe she can kind of shout out on the Facebook page and share.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think of that. How are you listening to us?
I'm like, is she on our headset? So I love those too. And you got to keep us posted on your book. If you're Wickwicking the book, you got to let us know what transpired.
Oh yeah. That way. Yes, totally. With the first Wickwick writer book release.
We await our dedication. Okay. Mine is different. And this goes back to how we opened, full circle, with the seeing people buy the book and talk about the book and how grateful we are. This actually blew me away. It's a guy I went to college with, and good Lord, have I changed since college. I am 45, graduated at 21, 23 years ago. I was a huge pain in the ass. And I remember thinking this guy was super sweet, and he had a bunch of friends and they all called themselves the fellas. And they were so close. And it was that rare, like, male friendship that you see, the group of them that was so tight. And I look back and think, good Lord, I was kind of a pain in the ass. Out of the blue, I'm going to use your name, Gordon Center, put on Facebook yesterday, when he tagged me in a post, I did that movie double take, like, did he hit my name by accident? And he said, this really cool young woman, I went to college with, Carla Bernberg, has a wonderful new book out about living a healthier life. Carla's one of those rare girls from my college days, smart, funny, beautiful, and she was nice to me. Hope you like her new book. Aww. And I just thought, it's that tribe. It's why we talk about how the book it's already successful, no matter how many it sells, because it's spreading the word of the WickWigg. It's bringing us back together and reconnecting with old friends, meeting new friends, and it's about so much more than book sales dollars. I was really happy to see that. And I thought, wow, cool. You're in the tribe. Yeah.
That's all. Yeah, I actually had one of the guys at my gym texted me yesterday. And like I said, we've talked about this before, but I have like a little family at the gym and it's nice. And he texted me, he goes, I want to promote your book to the gym. Do you mind? I didn't want to do it unless because I generally.
How many people ask?
And it was funny to me because I don't make big deal about what I'm doing to people I see every day, because it's like, I don't know, like if you have friends that are doctors, they're not coming in and talking about their patients all day. You know what I mean? This is what I do. And I kind of separate it from when I'm having a personal life. So I'm not promoting to people that I hang out with. And anyway, so I said, sure, I appreciate it. That's really cool. I'm like, that would be nice. So he wrote this really nice message in our gym's Facebook group. And he was like, just so you guys know, Ronnie Noon has a book coming out. And everybody was so complimentary and it felt really good. So it's nice when, I don't know, you're right, people that are in kind of our personal circles, but not our WickWigg circles. And like circles are starting to combine, which is really cool.
When I see people from Oakland, where I used to live, post a picture that they got the book, I want to like hop on a plane and give them a hug and say, oh my gosh, I'm so surprised. Thank you.
Yeah, it is cool. It is very cool.
Yay.
Okay, I think we're wrapping up.
I
we cannot miss a week because we have too much to talk about.
Next week is a very special podcast.
Oh, yeah.
We got a theme episode. Yes.
We're planning something special. The fact that we're planning should be rewarded. Usually we're like, hey, it's time to rock a podcast. We got 5 minutes. Let's do this.
I'll call you in a second. So we will see you next week.
Next week. Until then.
Wickwick.
Wickwick. Yay! We did it!
That was really good.
That was really good. That was really fun. I think when we just talk, it's always really good.
I agree. Okay, I'm actually going to hang up and write down right now what we could put in the podcast thing. Okay, and I'm going to write down what we could put in the thing and then send it to you or put it in a draft and then you can.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And I'll eat with Bill and then I'll edit and we should have this up by the end of the day.
I love the thought of a beignet picture. Do you have one?
Oh, yeah, I have the one I took. Yeah, I do have one. And that could be a fun tie-in. We'll kind of, come up with something clever. But yeah, I do have one. All right, I'm going to stop the broadcast.